One guy's seen it, the other guy hasn't. First guy's gonna tell the second guy all about it while they both get drunk. All right, we are back with another episode of One Guy's Seen It, the only podcast where one guy has seen the movie, the other guy has not seen the movie most of the time, and the first guy is going to try to convince the second guy to see the movie, and if he succeeds, they will take a break, watch the movie, come back, nerd out about the movie, and decide how many beers you need to enjoy the movie, although that scale seems to fluctuate all the time, and is less of a scale and more of a means for us to say how we feel at the end of our experience watching the movie. Whatever that is to you is whatever that is to you, regardless, without any more rigmarole, hoopla, ballyhoo, or bullshit. Sumner, give me the skinny.
I just heard, this is interesting because we just finished Band of Brothers recently, and you heard about the Masters of Air show on Apple TV Plus?
I have seen trailers while I was scrolling through trying to watch the new Godzilla show, and I've been somewhat interested in it, but fill me in.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either, but I've watched some trailers, and I've watched like clips of the first episode. I've probably seen like the first 15 minutes, I think, just from like clips and stuff that I've seen. And it looks interesting. It's like in the same vein as Band of Brothers in the Pacific, but it's just about the the fighter pilot dudes. So I don't know a ton about it, but I'm really curious to watch it. I know the guy that played Elvis like a year or two ago, Austin Butler, is in it.
Okay.
And then some other... Oh, Barry Keoghan from Banshees of Inisherin is in it as well. And
no
Saltburn. Yeah.
Saltburn, you don't know about that movie. You don't know anything about that movie.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that movie.
You know absolutely nothing.
The internet's ruined the movie for me already. I can't even enjoy it.
And I had one of those grumpy moments with it where, so Kaylee and I were literally just looking for a movie to watch and stumbled across it on Prime, and I dug the cinematic looking trailer, and I was like, all right, fuck it, let's do it. I don't know anything about this. And we watched it and had it ruin our lives for a few days until I started talking to people and realized that everyone I was talking to had also seen it. And I was like, well, that's odd, because it felt like sort of a niche, obscure type of movie. And I was like, how's everybody seeing this? And then I ended up on TikTok, and now I just feel old because... The reason it was probably in the trending section of Prime that I was not necessarily paying attention to the fact that we were in the trending section is because it was trending on the biggest fucking social media platform on the planet.
Yeah.
So anyways, I felt very old and out of touch when I realized how late I was to the bullshit conversation that I don't even want to be a part of about this movie. But anyways.
Yeah, that's a sad thing. I get a lot of my like trending stuff from TikTok. The brain rot is real. I spent 2 hours on TikTok the other day, and my mind literally felt like mush. And I was like, I don't think
the human brain is designed to experience that level of algorithmic content all the time.
No, the fluctuations of dopamine have got to be bad for you. Like, it feels bad. Like when you get off of it,
there
you're
are
like,
studies.
whoa.
I mean, people are already doing studies. I don't want to see them. Hey, but for the record, there's nothing wrong with you spending as much time on TikTok as you are, because you're doing that work for both of us. If we ever want this podcast to get more successful, we're gonna have to do bullshit movies people are talking about on the internet. I mean, obviously, we've kicked things off with movies that we just want to watch, but eventually we're gonna have to sell out to the man, because the man is. Wait, do the speech. Wait, do the School of Rock speech.
Because the world is run by the man. The man. Uh-huh. You don't know the man? Oh, he's everywhere. No. In the White House down the hall, Miss Mullen, she's the man.
She's the man.
The man ruining the ozone, burning down the Amazon, and kidnap Shamu and put her in a chlorine tank.
Put her in a chlorine tank. He's so fucking good.
Yeah. Do yourself a favor and just give up.
Just quit, because in this life,
you can't win. Yeah, you can. Yeah, I missed the first part of that. God damn it! It's so good. Yep. we've talked about this. I don't know if we've talked about this in the podcast, but Jeff and I love School of Rock a lot, and I made my wife Andy watch it, and it must have been the most annoying experience because we were quoting the whole movie all the way through it. So we knew every single line of dialogue.
Yeah, and you know what? It reminds me because I was butthurt. I was genuinely butthurt that she didn't love Just Friends, and then I realized that we probably did what we did with School of Rock while we were watching Just Friends. And it's like for anyone, I feel like for anyone who's with a group of people who are all obsessed with and know every word to a movie that doesn't, they're gonna feel left out. You know? I get it. Even if she was just pretending she didn't like it, just to poke at us, which somewhere in the back of my mind I hope was the truth. I don't know, man.
Yeah, but it's also annoying when you know that everybody loves the movie, so you feel compelled to like everything about it.
Right, yes, there's that too. I mean, I would rather her be honest about how she's feeling than be like, oh yeah, it's amazing, and like lie to us.
Yeah, and I even knew, like, going in, I was like, she's not gonna like this movie.
Yeah. But you did your duty anyways.
I did my duty.
Anyway, enough bullshit. We are here to watch a movie today. That I am very excited to post Band of Brothers to introduce you to. And I swear this, I'm hoping with every fiber of my being that there's no way that you've seen this.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm assuming it's World War II related. But
so it is not, but it is in a roundabout way, and you will know why. Okay. So this is a drama, horror, sci-fi, because you know me. you know me.
I know you, buddy.
From 2003. Okay.
God, it's always that time
I know
period.
It's the same era.
No,
it's the same era. Like.
No, I'm not trying to talk shit. It's just like there's something about like that late 90s, early 2000s. It was such a bizarre time in movies. And I don't know. I'm glad I'm kind of getting a... this is almost like an extracurricular class that you take in high school. Obscure horror action comedies from the
101
late 90s and early 2000s.
Professor Jefferson bullshit.
There's something about the millennium, though, that like fucked people's brains up because it was like they were like trying everything all at once with all these movies. Anyway, sorry.
Well, and now, to be fair, this is an adaptation of one of the most famous fucked up brains of all time. Our good friend Stephen King.
Okay.
This is directed by Lawrence Kasdan, who I know nothing about. Kasdan. I don't know how to pronounce that. And
Kasdan sounds familiar.
Yes, and it stars and it's funny how they sort of set up the credits. Like, top billing doesn't really make any sense once you watch the movie. But here's the top billing. Are you ready for this cast? Is your body prepared? Are you ready?
Yes, okay. I'm ready.
Morgan Freeman, which is fucking hilarious.
Okay.
Thomas Jane, Jason Lee, Damian Lewis.
Wow. Oh, I love
Timothy
Damian Lewis.
Oliphant.
Whoa.
You still with me?
Yeah, I'm still with you.
Tom Sizemore.
Uh-huh.
Donnie Wahlberg.
Whoa, what the fuck?
Dude,
okay.
I'm telling you, like, this is the perfect post-Band of Brothers movie to watch. And I'm curious how much of the casting had to do with the fact that that Band of Brothers was such a successful show. Because I guess first year was 2001? When was the first season of Band of Brothers?
2001, I think. Because I remember we talked about that, like, the second episode or third episode premiered like right after 9/11 or something.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm assuming they were just, obviously this was like peak HBO era, right? Where like HBO was the shit.
Yeah.
And so I just have a feeling that everybody was watching Band of Brothers, and these, Damian Lewis and Donnie Wahlberg were kind of hot names-ish at the time.
Yeah. And Tom Sizemore from Saving Private Ryan probably was helpful in that.
I mean, one more time, dude. Thomas Jane, Morgan Freeman, Jason Lee. I mean, Timothy Oliphant. Like, this cast is money.
Yeah, Jason Lee is the only one where I'm like, I love Jason Lee a lot.
There's no connection, but we love him. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, he's in my favorite movie of all time, Almost Famous. He's got one of the greatest parts ever, the lead singer for Stillwater. But he's like one of those guys. He's one of those guys. It seems like incongruent to like I would never picture him and Damian Lewis in the same scene together.
Yeah. It's partially why I'm so excited. Like again, this is one of these movies that I'm not going to sit here and tell you this is a great movie, but it's a movie that I want to force you to watch. And I don't want to say anything about the plot because it'll just give it away. I mean, have you already kind of looked it up? Are you already on IMDb?
I never look it up because I want the integrity of my part of the show to be intact.
Okay, good. And I almost I really. And I hate it when the plot when the plot synopsis gives away the movie. So I'm just going to tell you, friends go on a camping trip, and that's all you get to know.
Okay. Well, that doesn't give me a lot to go on there.
No, it doesn't give you anything to work on, and that is exactly the way that I want it.
Okay.
And God, it's so hard. Like, I don't even know some of the trivia. Well, so this is kind of cool. So it is the 7th, and as of 2020, the last Stephen King adaptation to get produced by Castle Rock Entertainment, which I believe is Stephen King's like production company, or one that he's heavily involved with.
This is weird. You know what? I think I saw this on it was on TV, like, and this is recent too, like, because I remember I was really into Damian Lewis after we finished the series. And I was interested in like his filmography and stuff that he'd done. And like, I think Band of Brothers was like the biggest thing he had done. And I remember very vaguely, like just flipping on something that was like on TV and like a scene of them like out in the woods somewhere.
So you have a subliminal glance of this movie.
Yeah. And I don't remember, I remember Jason Lee being there maybe, and like I don't know what. I remember it being like 7, maybe not that.
Well, so okay, I was gonna say, can you remember the name of the movie? Like if you
it'd be
recently
really
came across it.
It's like Sun or something. No, probably not.
Okay, so I'll tell you the name of the movie. The name of the movie is Dreamcatcher.
Dreamcatcher. You know what? Yeah, because I think that was on. I was subscribed to like the Stars app for a little bit, and like it had just like popped on TV for a second because I remember Dreamcatcher sticking out to me for some reason, and I think it was probably because of the cast. I was like, "Who the fuck is in this movie?"
Yeah.
So
yeah, and this is another one of those that was like on. It was like on Stars and Stars 2 and Showtime 2 and shit when we were kids and at home.
Yeah.
Like just up late at night watching premium cable channels.
Yeah, and like. Yeah, Damian Lewis looks pretty. He's got a pretty similar haircut, I think, to or maybe he has a beard or something. Can't remember.
Yeah, it's gonna.
But they're like in a cabin out in the woods, like camping or something like that, right?
Yeah, and I don't want you to know anymore. Is that all that you remember?
That's all I remember. I literally watched like 2 minutes of it just because I was curious about Damian Lewis because he's one of those guys that like. If he's in something, like I'll probably end up watching the whole thing just because I like him a lot. And I don't know if it's because I like him as Winter so much. Like last night, I was staying up and drunk, and Andy went to bed, and I just flipped on the first 2 episodes of Band of Brothers again. Just because I was I was in a state.
It's hard to avoid. It's just on, you know.
But I was like, we were like fresh off of our Band of Brothers podcast, and I was like, I just want to sit down and just enjoy this, like not have to like think about stuff that I'm going to say on the podcast. And it was a very enjoyable experience just watching it.
Yeah, fucking A. Well, I'm gonna keep giving you whatever trivia I can. So
okay.
So like I was saying, it's the 7th Stephen King adaptation to be produced by Castle Rock Entertainment, which I believe is his company, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And it's the 8th involving Rob Reiner. And I don't know what that means. Do you?
Like Rob Reiner as a producer?
I would guess. I didn't see him in the cast. I don't really know who Rob Reiner is.
Oh, Rob Reiner. Oh, he did so much. He did the Princess Bride, and he directed The Princess Bride, and This Is Spinal Tap, and
Oh no shit. Well, yeah. Okay,
When
so
Harry Met Sally,
the other,
like he's done tons of stuff.
Okay, that makes sense because the other Stephen King movies that he was involved with, I think are some of the most popular.
Yeah, he did Misery, right?
Yeah, Misery, Stand By Me, The Shawshank Redemption, Green Mile, Hearts in Atlantis, Dolores Claiborne, Needful Things. So he must have just a lot of the most popular Stephen King adaptations.
Well, I think he was just a producer on some of those because.
Got it.
I'm pretty sure Shawshank Redemption was Frank Darabont because I think he wrote the script too, and I think Frank Darabont did The Green Mile also. So he must have just been but he's Carl Reiner's son. I don't know if you know who Carl Reiner is. He was like
I'm going to pretend to know who these people are. I'm usually the guy who hasn't seen it some.
But Carl Reiner was he was like a really famous comedian. He was with like Mel Brooks, like he was like one of those kinds of guys, like New York comedian. He lived to be like 98. I think he just died like a couple years ago. And
cool.
So he's kind of like,
but
yeah. So he's like he's like a nepo baby, but like the good one. Like he's actually really talented filmmaker and film producer.
Yeah, I guess you grew up surrounded by the industry.
Yeah, and I always get bugged when people like make fun of people that are like, nepo babies that like come from, like a famous background and they end up like being good in the industry and stuff. And like sometimes it's warranted, like they're like, hacks that they're not good enough to be there. But sometimes it, just works out. They do deserve to be there.
Yeah, sometimes it's just that their situation in life augments their ability. Like a perfect example is J.J. Abrams' daughter. Gracie Abrams. Have you ever listened to any of her music?
No, I haven't.
So she's blowing up in the like bedroom pop space. She has been for a few years, and J.J. Abrams has been involved with a lot of music projects. He was a producer on Roadies and I think hasn't he done shit with Cameron Crowe a couple of times, I think, and like J.J. Abrams was like a big music. He's like a huge music nerd, and he had all these connections in the entertainment industry. And when his super talented daughter was like, "Dad, I want to get into music. How can you help?" She goes from total obscurity to record deal and hit songs. But it's like she can't not have talent. Like she's a great songwriter, she's a good singer, and she's getting recognition she deserves. She just has a leg up because she's a nepo baby. It's not like she doesn't deserve it, And like, and like the thing with that is like, like she's definitely got a leg up on other people to like be able to get her stuff out there. But like if you're not talented, I mean, that's a tough thing too. It's like sometimes it does work out where it's like you can have a bunch of talented people behind you and you can fake it for a couple years, but like. Like more often than not, like if you're not talented and people don't respond to you, sometimes just nothing happens because of that. So I think more often than not, that's what happens. Yeah.
So I mean, they can't really take away, people's efforts just because they had like an easier road to get there.
Yeah. But anyway, we've bullshitted enough. I'll give you two very interesting last tidbits of trivia, because really the only ones I can give you, well, this is kind of cool. So the original novel was like 500 pages long, and it was the first book that Stephen King wrote after a near fatal road accident that he had, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I heard about that. I always thought it was Misery because like the whole movie is about him getting in a car crash and then getting kidnapped by an obsessed fan.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why. I mean, and who knows? Like, but anyway, some other cool stuff. Thomas Jane, one of my personal favorites. Obviously, this is the first Stephen King movie that he starred in. The second one was The Mist in 2007.
Which is one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations.
Same, I fucking love The Mist. So Thomas Jane apparently starred in this film because his mother, a huge Stephen King fan, told him he had to.
Yeah, it's like you're not welcome in my house anymore if you refuse this.
Yes. All right, you ready for the final epic piece of trivia?
Yeah.
Damian Lewis and Donnie Wahlberg also starred together in Band of Brothers.
Oh, do they? Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, two of the most pivotal roles in that show, I think. For sure.
Yes. And with that, I'm thinking no more bullshit. We've got to watch this movie.
Yeah. I'm very excited. You've sold me on this.
Yes. Yes.
So it was Dreamcatcher was the name of the book, right? Like it wasn't like
yes, and it's also the name of the movie. Yes. No.
Okay.
And my dad, it's another one of those things where this era of my life. My dad was an outside sales guy, and he was on the road all the time, and in the era before Kindles, even though I bought him when he doesn't use them, it was like a part of his life where he was reading constantly, and he would on the road, he would stop by every half price books or bookstore that he could and buy like 10 books because he'd just go through like a book a day. So he was just blazing through all the Stephen King shit, and I remember him being so excited when this movie came out because this was one of his favorite Stephen King books. So
yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I've always responded to more of the I don't know, like low key Stephen King kind of stuff. Like I don't know, the best way is like the more human kind of things. Like I mean, I love his horror stuff too, but like I don't know, like the simpler, like it doesn't really do much for me. And like the movies that I've seen, I haven't read the book because it's a behemoth. I don't think I could ever get all the way through. But I mean, like Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile are great. Stand by Me is great.
Yeah, and don't think this is in that league. This is not a Shawshank Redemption Green Mile type of story.
Yeah, no, not expecting that. But I mean, but even like the horror plots that he has, the simpler, the better. Like he's able to do so much with such a tiny plot, I guess. Like he's able to write characters really well, usually anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, okay. Well, let's go fucking watch this movie. This is One Guy's Seen It. We're gonna take a short break. You're gonna hear the best trumpet hook ever written, and and know that spoilers are on the way. Okay, they are on the way. We will be back. All right, we're back with One Guy's Seen It. So I'm gonna let you kick things off here.
You fucking bastard.
Tell me everything. Tell me how you're feeling.
Well, it's like so it's like this. I mean, it's one of those movies that starts off really promising, and then you get to about the midway point, and then it becomes like a so bad it's good movie, kind of, but not really. Like it's just bad, but it's oh man, that movie fucking sucked.
Well, fuck me, Freddy. It's not your new favorite movie that you've ever seen.
What is it? What does he call it? Fuckery and fuckaroo? Fuckaro?
Fuckery and fuckaroo. Yeah, this is another one of those movies where I started to write down some quotes. I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to watch the movie. There's so too much ridiculous shit. There's so many ridiculous lines.
This is the quintessentially, like, over-the-top campy dialogue. Like, to the point of being, like, absurd. Like, midway through the movie.
And I really think it's a perfect example of, because I remember very vividly when my dad wanted to watch this movie when I was a kid is that it's the classic, the book's way better type of thing. And
sure, yeah.
I think what you get with this movie is them trying really hard to recreate a lot of the things that were so great about the book. It doesn't matter how good the cast is, some things just don't come across.
Yeah,
the way that they're written,
Yeah, and I also get the feeling too, and I've never read a Stephen King book, but you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I've honestly, watching the movie, I don't feel like that's far off from how most of it is written.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying, but like, it's just the classic conundrum, right? Where my dad, like, I remember my dad saying, well, so many of these things are so much better and more fleshed out in the book.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It's like you said, it starts off really promising, but there's so many dynamics and things that it's trying to cram all together at once, and the pacing of it is so bizarre, the way that it jumps around and cuts around and like, but I'm sorry, I can't help it. I fucking love this movie.
You were so wrong. No, I'm just kidding. You're not wrong.
But that's the thing. It is I love it. All the things that make it a terrible movie are the things that I love about it. Like, and a lot of it is nostalgia, okay, which is an unfair bias.
Sure,
it's an unfair barometer. Like so many of these movies that I fucking force you to watch.
Well, it's got an amazing
for me.
It's got an amazing cast, and like it's shot really well. Like it's not like The Relic. Like I could actually see what was going on, which was really nice.
Yeah. And honestly, what's funny is I remember too when I was looking through the cast, I was like, Donnie Wahlberg. I was like, I'm not surprised that he's in this. I was like, but I don't remember his character at all. Yeah, and I think it's because when I watched the movie younger, I didn't know who any actors were or anything. I completely forgot he was Duddits. Like, when he walked out, my jaw was on the floor. I was like, no fucking way.
Well, it got to that point in the movie where I was like, I forgot that he was supposed to be in it. Like, I was looking for him in like the first hour of the movie, and then when his scene came, I'm like, holy shit, that's Donnie Wahlberg.
I know, and I think it's nuts that Morgan Freeman got top billing, and he doesn't even make his first appearance in the movie until like 40 minutes in.
Yeah, but he's got like a healthy amount of screen time, I think, and
he does.
Well, he's definitely like the biggest name at the time, probably.
Sure.
So that was probably part of it, but with Donnie Wahlberg too, I'm like, well, one, like his like whole outfit and everything is insane. Like they like drive it home the fact that he's got Down syndrome or something like very hard. Like he's really into Scooby-Doo and he's like wearing like ski boots like everywhere.
Yeah,
goes.
He's this was a time when the word retard was still very regularly used. But
yeah.
I mean, I feel like he's just on the spectrum, because he's a fucking alien.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's obviously not like, he doesn't have Down syndrome. Just nobody understands him, man. Nobody really gets it except these guys.
Yeah, and it's another thing too that I feel like in the book, Dudditz's.
Did you read the book?
No, and I really want to. But I would imagine that Dudditz's character is a lot more fleshed out, and like the reasons he's into the things he's into as he's growing up kind of make more sense. Because the thing that's sort of never explained, right? You get first of all, I guess for our listeners, I mean, I'm assuming that anybody that's listening to this has watched the movie, obviously, but the plot of this movie is a group of childhood friends come across and save I don't even know. I don't think you can even say mentally handicapped anymore. A not neurotypical boy who is getting his ass kicked by some bullies, kind of classic 80s.
Well, it was like classic Stephen King, like total sociopathic bullies that are just like
exactly.
Like it reminded me very much of It. Like it almost felt like a first draft of It. Like that scene.
And I think that's the reason. that this book and this movie never really stood out in anybody's like Stephen King mind, or even in like audience. It's like it's an almost amalgamation of a lot of themes that he uses in other stories.
Yeah, like dairy is like a big part of it. Like Derry, Maine, which is like it's like a big part
town.
of it's a big part of It. Like where like Derry is like like the town is like a very big focal point of the book. Or the movie I think the fictional town of Derry, Maine, he uses that in a lot of his stories, just to kind of be this spooky representation of where he grew up. Yeah.
And so anyway, I like that, and it is what it is. It's like it's not going to be on anybody's list of best Stephen King books or best movie adaptations at all. In fact, the fact that I don't know that you'd never heard of it, but definitely never seen it.
Never seen it. Never heard of it before. I mean, like vaguely. I mean, like I said, it was like on TV once, and I turned it on for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that, obviously. But I have to say, like, I was smiling my ass off the whole time because I was just imagining you watching it and just imagining you laughing at all the fucking same stupid shit that I was laughing at.
Yeah,
it's just one of those. It's one of those movies where I wish we could have just watched it together in the same room.
I know, yeah. Like there are so many moments where I was just like, shit. I really hope I remember this so I could like say this verbatim. Because like, oh my god, there's so many.
Yeah. So
like it's
so the plot. I got distracted. They save this boy. They save this boy whose name is Duddits, even though his name is Douglas. That's the only way that he can pronounce his name. And
it's like a weird like German dialect.
Yeah, well, I don't even think it's a dialect. He's just he can't even speak well. Like he's just and that's the thing. I wish that they sort of explain more why the alien inhabiting him did that to him.
Well, because it made it seem more like he was like, I don't know, like foreign. Like that's the vibe I got halfway through. But then I realized that it was like, oh no, he's got a disability.
Man, and see, that's another thing that I hate, that I can't watch this without ever having seen it before, because there are things I just know that I would never question. But it's like, now that you say that, I can imagine how, because that was one of the things that upset me, is I realized watching this again for the first time in forever how much Duddits' character really isn't explored very much, and how much their kind of their history with him is just so lightly touched on, and so like it just forces you to suspend your belief over and over again, to just be like, okay, that's why this is. Okay, I guess that's why this is. But it doesn't. It's the type of things that Stephen King would have written 6 pages about Duddits' mannerisms and 12 pages about the first time you ever watched Scooby-Doo, and like just things that the movie did not have time to make you understand or care about.
Yeah, because it was because they had already crammed so much stuff into there. Like I was very aware that like it was an adaptation of a book, like midway through, I think. Especially like the part where they like split off, and Timothy Oliphant and Thomas Jane are going into town, and then Jason Lee and Damian Lewis's character are stuck back at the cabin, and they're like hunting, and they come across like it just felt like very chapter, like episodic kind of material. Like I would be like, okay, that would be where the chapter break probably was. Like I was very aware of like the structure of it in terms of the writing. You can definitely feel that while it's happening.
But I guess I guess gotta get through the fucking plot, because I know we're gonna keep saying shit. So obviously. Well, it's funny. I almost want you take over the plot, right? So we're at, they save Duddits, when they're kids. Go ahead.
I'll go back to the beginning to like, because the character introduction parts are great to me. Like they're very.
The whole beginning of the movie, it feels like 2 different movies.
Yeah, and that was the thing too. I was like, I was really interested in like their like, and this is it's almost like an amalgamation of. Like you said, like Stephen King plots. Like there's like the It with the young kids that are like, they're kind of like the losers. Like they're like the kid group in It. They're not like popular kids or anything like that. But then they have this like shining element to them, where they can like read each other's thoughts, which is made very apparent like in the first like 10 minutes of the movie, where you get all the introductions, where Thomas Jane is like the psychiatrist in the office, and he's got that guy who talks about Carl's Jr.,
which is fucking awesome. Great opening scene. He's
like, do you think Carl's Jr., he's always in the shadow of his father, and he's like this whole thing, and he's like, and then Thomas Jane is just being a dick to him. He's just like, he's like, do you think you're eating yourself to death because you feel bad about killing your mother? Like something like that.
And he's like cracking up already.
Yeah, and he was like, and like he makes a point about it later. He's like, like I treated this guy really badly, but it's so off-putting in the first like 5 minutes of the movie, where he's just like, he's like, you're a piece of shit. Do you know why? That's why you're eating yourself to death and slowly killing yourself. And then like and then the guy leaves, rightfully. He's like, dude, what the fuck? You're supposed to be my psychiatrist. Anyway, he leaves, and then like Thomas Jane's about to shoot himself in the head, and then like before even the phone rings, I think he's like, Jonesy, and then the phone rings and he picks it up, and it's Damian Lewis's character, who's called Jonesy in the movie.
Jonesy.
And I do like that all of their like jobs are kind of related to the fact that they've got this ability to like read people's minds, so they can pick up on I don't know, like they're like clairvoyant in a way. They can like piece together things, like especially with Timothy Oliphant's character with the girl that like loses her keys, and he can like retrace her steps. So I was like, okay, that's really like an interesting thing. Like they're all connected in this way where they like all know each other like really, really well. I was like, that's going to be a really interesting thing that's going to get developed. And not really. That doesn't really happen, but it's more of a plot device.
It's the type of thing that you imagine in the book would have been really fleshed out and cool.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, this will be really cool. And then it becomes a completely other thing very quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Damian Lewis's character is like I don't know, like a professor, and then Thomas Jane's a psychiatrist, so he's got to be pretty good at his job because he can diagnose people pretty quickly. And then Timothy Oliphant's a car salesman, which I thought was really interesting. Like to be like, you know, somebody that can read people's minds, essentially, to be a car salesman. I was like, that's the perfect job for somebody like that.
Fucking A, right?
Like, I had a moment where I was like, why aren't all these guys like high-stakes poker players in Vegas just making bank?
Yeah,
like,
dude. So it's funny you say that. That was my first thought, too. As I was watching it, I almost got distracted and had to, like, pause it and reassess. Because all I could do was think about, okay, well, like, what ways could you make the most money as quickly as possible? I was like, why are none of them doing this?
Yeah, just like, you know, like a poker game, it's like it's all based on like being able to read other people, you know, something like that, or like, you know, like gambling, like some kind of gambling. I was like, oh, that'd be like a great like plot for a book, and then like, yeah, that doesn't happen.
No, and I like to just hope, because again, the fact that I haven't read the book lets me love the movie more, because I can just hope that the plot holes that I wish were there are in the book, even if they aren't. And I can't ever read the book because that will ruin it for me. Like, I hope that there's something Duddits told them when they were young that was like, you can't, you know, take advantage of these powers, you know, more than absolutely necessary, or some shit like that, you know?
Yeah, but they all take advantage of it in like the first like couple minutes of the movie too. Like even that kid that comes into Damian Lewis's office, he's like, I know you cheated on the test. He's like, how did you know? You weren't even there. He's like, I just know these things.
Yep, I just know these things. Yeah, so they're using them, but they're not. It's like that's what I'm saying. Like, if Duddits told them, you know, don't use these, you only use these powers for good, or whatever. Like, yeah, it's like it's like the movie's using this as a device to show you that they can do this. But
yeah,
if they
which
can
is
do
important.
it like this, yeah, but it's like, if they can do it like that for those reasons, then why can't they do it at a high stakes poker game and win a shit ton of money?
Yeah,
super rich.
Yeah. So and then Jason Lee's character is Beaver.
Beaver.
He just drinks at a bar. Like, he doesn't. They don't really make a point that he has an occupation. But you know,
right?
It's so funny that I was like talking shit, a little bit of shit about Jason Lee. I was like, oh, it seems weird that he's in this movie. Honestly, he was my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah,
like,
he's great.
He was really good. Like, he just fit that persona really well. And honestly, watching Damian Lewis's performance, like, he had probably one of the worst performances in the movie. And
it's just because you're so used to seeing him as winners. I swear, that has to be it.
Well, you know, like, and to be fair, it's not like all his fault. Like, he's given a really insanely fucking weird character, or he's basically playing two characters, but one is, and it must have been written this way in the book, because I was like, the whole thing with the British accent and like the weird, like, smiling evil, it's so crazy and over the top. Like, I don't know, man. But anyway, yeah, sorry.
It's another perfect example of the type of thing that if you're reading it, you can totally imagine it, right? Like, you can totally imagine. And then if somebody actually has to act it out, and somebody has to film it and shoot it in a way that makes sense, there's almost no way for it not to be cheesy and weird.
Yeah. And I really don't even, because it wasn't just Damian Lewis. Like, a lot of other guys that like I love, like their other acting stuff, it just came off as so goofy and like campy and over the top. Like even Morgan Freeman is like not that great in the movie, but to me it's probably mostly the script and like the directing that's like the issue. I don't think it's really their fault.
See, that's what sucks is like going in, I knew all the camp was coming, so I enjoyed it so much. But but looking back at it, it's like if I'd never seen the movie and you watch the first 20 minutes of the movie, you're not expecting that level of camp. And so then it doesn't come across the right way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and it like comes off as like a really normal movie, like in the first like probably half an hour. Like I was like, it's a pretty straightforward movie. Like it's a little campy, but not that crazy. And then like when that guy comes in that's like farting and like burping the whole time, that's when shit goes crazy. Like that shit's insane.
Is that when you texted me and you were like, this movie's fucking insane?
No. I texted you like it was like an hour in. Like what was going on at the time? I can't even remember the moment, but it was.
Because I feel like there were so many moments in the middle of the movie that could have prompted you to say that.
It was like about the halfway point. It might have been the Scouts Honor scene where Morgan Freeman was with the guy and he's like, he's like Scouts Honor, and then he like shoots his finger. It's like, what the fuck is this movie?
Yeah, we keep getting distracted from the plot. Okay, we have to do.
Oh yeah.
So where were we at?
So the scene where they like get to the cabin, like oh, and this scene where Damian Lewis is like coming home, he's like I think Jason Lee's character calls him that night and he's like be careful going home, and he's like why? He's like, I just got a feeling. And then he is walking home and I don't know, Duddits, he sees a vision of Duddits across the street and just ends up walking out into like the middle of traffic and gets hit by a car, which is like, and I'll give the movie credit because for coming out in 2003, some of the CGI still doesn't look that bad. Honestly.
Dude, that was one of the first things I thought was that the CGI looks way better than I thought that it was going to. Like it was really well done. Like even the shit weasels and the fucking like all of it looked like it holds up.
Yeah. Oh my god, that fucking shit weasels line.
The shit weasels. We'll get to it. Okay.
But yeah, I mean like even when he got hit by a car, it looks like, you know, like a little rubbery and goofy now, but I mean like not expecting that to happen when it did, I was like, "Oh shit, that didn't look that bad." I was really impressed. Yeah, even some of the crazier stuff, like it looks dated now, but it still holds up. I feel like I was very impressed by that.
It was clearly super high budget. Like I bet it really underperformed and disappointed.
Yeah, but so yeah, that happens, and then they're like getting ready to go on a camping trip, and then it cuts very quickly to being like 6 months later, and then they're like going to the cabin like they were going to do initially. So it's like really bizarre. So it's like basically what was going to happen anyway, but 6 months later because he just got hit by a car, which is like like one of those things that's like almost like not even that important. I'm sure it was more important in the book, so like they had to throw it in there, but like it doesn't hold that much weight. Like it almost seems like you could have just like gone to them going to the cabin kind of. I'm nitpicking here, I'm sorry, but it's just,
well, wait, so are you saying
strange.
so well, because the plot device for that was that for whatever reason him dying and his heart stopping is what allowed the alien to not fully take him over, supposedly. That's true. No, you're right.
So
Duddits essentially caused it to happen by like appearing to him and drawing him across the street.
Like because he had like the foresight. I guess like the last hour of that movie is kind of a blur to me because I was so mystified.
No, you weren't just loving and
no,
and
I was, but I was
every second of it.
But I was also like, see, that's a bad thing too. Is like when I take notes, I don't pay as much attention as I should sometimes. So that's also kind of a bummer.
Oh yeah, so you're saying we need to stop and go watch it again right now?
Yeah, we need to watch it again right now. Just I need a refresher. No, I mean I do remember that happening and like him throwing that out like at the end, which is Oh yeah,
I feel like this is the type of movie you would enjoy more on a second watch. I'm just saying.
Probably.
I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, it's no Species, which is still, I think, the greatest B movie of the last 30 years.
If you'd have told me when we started this podcast that Species was going to be the standout for you, I'd have never fucking believed it.
I don't know. That's my standard of shitty B
That's the
90s
standard.
Movies. Yeah. I don't know why. It's amazing to me. I don't know why.
Well, and keep in mind, this is early 2000s, okay? A lot movies were fucking weird at this time.
It's just the thing about Species. It's like it's fun. It knows exactly what it is, and like I don't know. It works because all the actors in it are great, also, but they're also campy and terrible. Like it's
right.
But with this, it's like it's almost like the actors are too good to be in a movie like this lowbrow almost. Except for Jason Lee, because I feel like he knows exactly what movie he's in, and he plays it very perfectly. He's just that dude. Like, you know, he's like the burnout friend kind of character. He plays that really well.
Well, and that's what sucks, right? Like, if you have a cast that's too good for the script and too good for what happens, that's what you get is like I can tell you after watching that, I would have almost rather watched a movie that was like that was this story without an alien invasion. Like, if it just followed the four of them like going about their lives and like doing, because I love the actors so much, that would be more compelling to me than it devolving into the invasion movie that it devolved into.
Yeah, if it was like a straight up character drama about them dealing with the fact that they can like, because it's obviously like it's one of those things that like ruins their social relationships, which is something that they kind of hint on early in the movie, that they can like they know everything that everybody's thinking, and it kind of like ruins the mystery of life. So that was one of the things I thought was cool when they were like at the cabin and they were just sitting around talking about, you know, just about stuff. Like, that was one of my favorite parts of the movie. They were just like sitting around hanging out, and I just wish that was developed more. Like, I could have watched, you know, them just like talking about their lives, because I was like, that's fascinating.
Yeah,
how they've been able to like cope with, you know, this ability that they have. Like, I think all that stuff is really interesting. But
yeah, so we can agree on that.
Yeah, I think the premise is super interesting. Just because of the possibilities that you have with that, but it just becomes a footnote very quickly after that. And you know, it kind of cuts to the next day, and then like, I guess it's a hunting trip, because Damian Lewis and Jason Lee's character are like out in the deer blinds, just, you know, hunting, and they're like drinking beer and stuff, and then they come across the guy that just wanders into their camp.
Yeah.
Who has got he's got some severe gas issues, which it becomes a very big focal point of the movie, which there was a moment in the movie where I was like, oh, okay, it's gonna be about farts for a little while. So you know, but I mean, like, that is it in the moment I was like, you know, like, that's kind of like a weird, like, interesting thing where it's just like, oh, it's like a weird, I don't know. It's just like, it kind of worked for a second, and then like they're making fun of him, and like, you know, but they're really like sweet and helpful, and they like try to make sure he's okay, and like, it's like, you know, we'll get you some soup, we'll get you a place to stay, and then they're like, okay, it seems like you're dying, but he's got like that growth thing in their chest that he notices. It was like, yeah, I saw this bulging thing in his chest, and then it moved down to his stomach, and like they can tell that like something's up with him. And yeah, that's the first introduction to the alien parasite in the movie. Which
I mean, I'm sorry, the farts get me every time. I love it. So like, what other movie would ever do this? Like, only fucking The Mind of Stephen King. But it's so off-putting when it starts happening. But you do have that really like, oh, the farts are going to be a very important part of this movie.
Yeah. I think I even wrote down what did it say? It was like, shit, I can't even remember what it was. Yeah, it's like definitely one of the strangest Stephen King plots about the the friends that all have the shining ability, but it ends up being about fart monsters midway through the movie.
Look, if it's any consolation, so if this tells you how Stephen King felt about his own story, he sold the movie rights for $1.
Did he really?
Yep.
Oh my God. Of course he did. He was like, this is a piece of... See, this is the thing, too. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Stephen King famous for, like, in the 90s and, like, probably the 80s, too, but, like, for just cranking out shit, and, like, some of it was brilliant, and then some of it was complete dog shit, and, like, that was, like, the thing he was known for? Like, you never knew what you were going to get with Stephen King?
Yeah, I think so. I think he was just cranking out so many books, and it's like when you write at that kind of a volume, everything's not going to be a masterpiece, but you're gonna get parts and pieces of greatness that makes him great in every story, even if the story itself isn't a masterpiece. So it's like there are things about this movie and this story that are so Stephen King that are the reasons I love him, that don't mean it's a great story or a great movie, but I can still enjoy it because I love that part of his mind,
Yeah, and there are definitely elements of this story that feel like coked out Stephen King, just like coming up with shit on the fly, like making it up as he goes along kind of thing, which honestly, like, I don't mind. That's like an interesting part of his process. It's just like it's manic and crazy and like anything can happen at any moment. And to be fair, like it kept my attention the entire time. Like I was really interested in what was going to happen next. So it wasn't boring. Like it definitely wasn't boring.
Yeah.
It was just like, it was so batshit insane that it like bordered on like, it's like so terrible that it's like amazing. And then there are times where it's just terrible. So it's like it teeters on that line very well.
And that's what makes it perfect.
Yeah, which kind of makes it like even out to being like kind of an okay movie. But like I definitely have a lot of problems with it. Like,
so you want to hear something funny? You kept talking about It and how much the scene with the boys reminded you of It. So the flashback scene where they first meet Duddits is the Barons from the film It.
Oh, is it really? Is it the...
Yeah, it's the same area they shot.
Oh, okay.
They shot It. So it's like
the
there's
TV
another
movie?
reason.
The one with like Tim Curry?
Yeah. In 1990.
Of course it was. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. I digress.
No. Yeah, it felt very much like that area. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and it was what do they call it? Like a loony bin, or well, they probably called it like a retard facility in the movie, but like
I think they did. Yeah.
But yeah, it's so yeah. The whole like flashback stuff with the kids is interesting because it gives like a little bit of backstory, but it almost feels like you get cut off like midway through like something that was probably more revelatory in the books. Like it was almost to the point where it's like you could have cut all those scenes out and like I don't think the movie would have been that much different.
Sure.
That was just my perception of it, but I'm also a cynical asshole.
But that's what I love about you.
Hey, that's what I do, man. I just shit on things that you love for this podcast.
No, I mean, apparently the world kind of shitted on this movie. Like, I was looking at the trivia earlier, and I think the director, what was his name, Lawrence Kasdan or something like that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, which I looked up. I was like, I know the name Lawrence Kasdan, so I looked it up when I was watching the movie. He wrote The Empire Strikes Back and Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Which is bananas.
Yeah. Yeah, and the guy, the other screenwriter that's credited in the movie wrote The Princess Bride, which was weird because we were talking about Rob Reiner earlier too.
Yes, sir. It's all connected.
Yeah, and he, so he's like both amazing screenwriters, so they know what they're doing. So, I don't know if they just got hired to do like this weird Stephen King thing, and they just try to keep the spirit of the book alive, which really. You can really feel it in the movie. Like, it feels like they're kind of just adapting what he did, and they don't really try to put their own spin on it that much.
Yeah, and it's funny, right? Because there's so many things that have to go right to make a book adaptation work, and it's like this is just proof that, or not even necessarily just to work, but to like stand up to the test of time, right? It's like it's like this Brompton cocktail of things that need to be just right, and it's like this just goes to show that even if the source material is incredible and the actors are incredible and the people working on it, the writers, even if everybody is great at their craft, knows what the fuck they're doing, if just a little bit everybody's not on the same page, or even if like certain styles or a certain overall almost like direction of the dialogue or direction of there's got to be a word in film for what I'm trying to explain, but just like and maybe you can help me out if there is a term for this, but just like the it's just like the vibe that the dialogue is giving off. Like every movie almost needs to be cohesive in some way, right?
Like the tone of it is
the tone.
consistent.
Thank you. I think it's that simple. Like a consistent tone, and it feels like for whatever reason there just wasn't really one in this. I mean, the tone, the consistency of the tone was that it was madness, which may have been the point, but I don't know.
And I think that's the thing too. It's like with the book, like there's probably more setup for everything that happens, enough to the point where it didn't seem like abstract craziness, where it was like in the movie there are like really jarring tonal shifts and like setups for certain scenes, and like it's like, okay, we're doing this now. It's like, okay, we're with these military guys for a couple minutes and like their whole story. It's like, oh, and then these guys are separated, and then Timothy Oliphant gets killed on the jet, like the snowmobile for a minute, which is fucking insane.
Right. It's like you said, there are things that are definitely like, it's like chapters in a book. It's like bringing you up to points where you want to know what's about to happen, and then it switches to different characters. And sometimes that works in a movie. It almost took away from it a little bit. I
it's
feel like in this one.
It feels like it would have been better as like a 5-part miniseries, like a 5-hour
I would agree
movie.
with that. Oh, the whole reason I brought up Kazan was apparently this film's failure, and I don't know, I'm not seeing any box office numbers, but apparently this wounded his career so badly that it prevented him from getting 2 films produced later. Like, damn. I think it kind of shut him down.
Dang, that's crazy, because he has such a classic film legacy. Like he wrote,
I guess nobody's afforded a single mulligan.
Yeah, no, he wrote Empire Strikes Back, and then the next movie he wrote was Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is like 2 of the most famous movies of all time, or American movies of all time.
Yeah. Craziness. So, anyway, sorry, back to the plot. So we're rolling along here. I'm sorry, I keep getting distracted.
No, you're good. Yeah, and then so the guy with the distended stomach is sleeping in the bed, and then they come back into the house, and he's like, there's just blood all over the floor, and then they find him like shitting his brains out in the bathroom.
I mean, this is the best scene in the movie, in my opinion, coming up. the Jason Lee on the toilet.
Yeah, Jason Lee on the toilet. Yeah, so they bust down the door because they think he's about to die. Because he's like, there's blood all over the floor, so they like bust down the door. And they get in there, and there's this shot where they're like, "Are you dead, mister? Are you dead?" And then they just kind of like lightly shove him off, and you get a full shot of this guy's bloody asshole as he falls into the bathtub. And then they realize that there's like this, living organism in the toilet, which I think this was probably one of the most shocking moments of the movie, because I mean, like. He's like sitting on the toilet, and like Damian Lewis is like, I've got some tape out in the shed, and he's like, I'm gonna go get the tape out in the shed, and I guess they do make a point about his leg. He's like, let me take over. He's like, no, you got your bum leg, like like if he gets whatever, he gets out, like he can kill you. So he ends up going. So this is a big problem I have with this scene. So he's out in the shed looking for the tape, and Jason Lee's sitting on the toilet, trying to hold the thing down, and then the thing comes up and it starts attacking him, but Damian Lewis doesn't know that this is happening until he comes back into the house, but they're supposed to have this connection in their brains. So he would have been like alerted to that. So to me, I wasn't sure if that was an oversight in like the writing of the screenplay or if that was like written in the book that way. Like I was really confused.
Know. Part of me thinks you're overthinking it. Like I think he knew what was happening. He just knew he needed to find the tape to help. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like he knew that there was this fucking thing in the toilet that was trying to get out.
But I mean, like, it wasn't like he was like still like waiting. He was like being attacked violently, and like, so there would have been a moment where he would have been able to like at least feel that energy coming from him, right? I mean, like, because like,
yeah,
okay,
you would think.
So that's the thing with the first scene of the movie, like when the guy's about to kill himself in the first scene of the movie, Thomas Jane's character, like he gets a call from Jonesy, Damian Lewis's character, like right as he's about to do it. So I feel like there is like that some, so like even if he didn't know exactly what was happening, he would feel something, right?
You know what this proves to me, Sumner? You know what this proves to me? That you noticed something like this?
Yeah.
It proves to me that you genuinely care about this movie.
Yeah.
And that
I'm dialed in, though.
That it touched you deeply.
Yeah, it touched me in my bag, in my.
Can you feel the shit weasel growing inside of you?
I can feel the shit weasel growing. I do love that they that one of their go-to things to say is "bite my bag," which I thought was funny.
Bite my bag. Yeah, there's so many great little quips in that you know that they had to throw in because they're definitely in the book, and it's what makes the character so lovable in the book. But it's like at some point, if it's just catchphrase after catchphrase after catchphrase, you feel like you're watching some weird fucking, you know, like cheesy shit. Like it just it's so good that it works against itself.
Yeah, there was like with the dialogue, there was never like a moment of realism or like not even realism. That's not the right way to say it, but it's like there was never a moment of like urgency. It was all like they were making these funny offhanded remarks while somebody was getting fucking killed in front of them. But I do want to talk about Damian Lewis because I'm a big Damian Lewis fan, and I was really let down by his performance. I thought it was so bad. It was so bad. And
I don't even feel like it's his fault. I feel like it's just the part.
No, and I'm willing to give him a pass on this, but there are some moments in this movie, especially the scene right after that when he comes back in and like the little thing is slithering on the ground, and he's like looking up at the alien monster in front of him, and he's like got these like tears in his eyes, and he's like like that kind of thing.
What do you want? Nah, he totally sold me, man. I bought it. I bought the emotions.
Yeah, I mean, like, not to shit on Damian Lewis, but I feel like he is really good at playing those stoic, winners kinds of characters. But when he's like given like the moment to being like, you got to have this really over the top reaction kind of thing, he just comes and like he did his best. He did his best, but it was so bad.
Well, you know why he had that gimp leg, right? It's because he took that bullet in episode 5. Took that bullet to the leg or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, like he got hit by the car early in the movie. I know he's got his shit.
No, I like to think that it's from the bullet that he took in episode 5 when he got chipped on the leg in that town.
Yeah, he got like a little piece of bullet shrapnel in his leg.
It's the shrapnel.
Yeah, it's just so funny.
So his character was a letdown, huh?
Well, no, it wasn't. I mean, like I did mind it. Like I was willing to look past it, and then like the scene where he's got like the split personality thing with Gray, Mr. Gray, where he starts speaking in the British accent, which is funny because he's British. Like he's got like a English accent, and he's got maybe it's so over the top that it comes off like such a bad English. It's like an American doing a bad English accent.
Yeah, almost. Yeah. You know what? And he said, I think Damian Lewis said that his impression was an attempt at Malcolm McDowell.
Oh, from Clockwork Orange, Malcolm McDowell.
Yes, that's who he was going for.
Yeah. Yeah, because it felt like a very like over the top interpretation, and like he does these weird, and it must have been written this way, so it's hard to really fault him, but he's really over the top like smiley kind of things, where he starts like smiling really big, like
you're not Jonesy.
No, I'm not Jonesy. Oh, okay. This is one thing I did want to talk about, because I think this is really like something that probably worked really well in the book, but like I don't know how well it worked in the movie. The thing with like, I don't know, like
the library in his mind.
The library in his mind. Yeah. How did you know I was gonna say that?
Because it's like it's a thing in the movie that I remember early, and I remember when I was a kid watching it, just having no idea what the fuck was going on. Like when you're a kid, you can't process that what you're seeing is in his mind. And I remember being, as a kid, just being so confused. Like what? Like where the fuck is he? Like what? But it was cool to watch it again and understand and think like, man, I've never seen a movie that's even tried to portray something like this. Yeah. And
so I think it's a cool idea. But
agreed. I think it's a cool idea. I think it sort of it was disconnecting in the movie, but I still like it. I don't even care. I like it. I like his filing system.
Yeah, I do like that he's like trapped in there. Like when the guy takes him over. Like I think that's really cool, and I think it would have worked really good in the book. But
it's unique. I give it credit for being a unique thing that Stephen King wrote, and they did their best to portray it. I like how, even though it looks a little wonky, I like how there's just these random cuts to him like looking in and out of the window, and it's like going into what's happening. It's like it's fine. I don't know. I can't help but like it. It's just but it's because I'm biased for this movie. It just is what it is. That doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah, no, I mean like I think I was confused early on, but like I got it pretty quickly after that. Like it made sense, especially when he was like stuck there. Like later on in the movie, it's really like apparent what's going on. But yeah, it just like, and there's not even anything I can point to particularly as being like bad or weird. It was just like it's like almost like too surreal for the movie that's being portrayed, if like that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, is it the first time that he alludes to it? It's when they're all sitting around, right? And he's talking about like he got a new laptop, so he didn't have room for his rock and roll lyrics anymore.
Yeah, which was weird because I thought like he like literally had like a warehouse of all the shit that he's ever thought in his life. I was like confused.
Right, yeah. There's no reason to not think that, which is why it's so off-putting.
He's like, yeah, where did you put that? Like in your, and like it's like it's alluded to that they all have like a system like that in their brains, I guess.
Yeah, Duddits gave them fucking powers, man.
Yeah, but I do love and I really like the set design of that. Like I think that looks really cool. Like it's really interestingly done.
Yeah, wherever it was shot was badass.
Yeah, like it was like a Library of Congress, like of his own like mind and thoughts, and it was cool to have like a visual to be like the memories that the Mr. Gray couldn't access, that he knew where they were, but he didn't know how to access them. Like I thought that was cool, like as a visual thing. Like it conveyed it all pretty well. But yeah, just it's a weird random Stephen King thing. Because it's almost like I've never read it, but I know like that there's a thing with like the turtle in outer space, like all that kind of stuff. Like so, Stephen King has some really out there kind of ideas about storytelling, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, just a crazy thing. Okay. Well, I do want to get to some of the quotes, especially from Morgan Freeman, who has probably some of the best quotes in the movie. When you get to meet him finally, when he's talking to Sizemore, Bucko.
Yeah, dude. He's overwhelming, and I fucking love every second of it.
Yeah. I just wrote down like the basics of the line. I wish I could remember the context of them, but he's got a line. He's like, smooth as a baby's butt skin, He's talking about some, or he's like, wouldn't want it to be dating my sister when he's talking about the alien, which was such a weird random thing to say.
I've been hunting these bastards for 25 years.
Yeah, and what about the shit weasels? Which is something I just want to incorporate in my daily vernacular. I just want to say that.
Shit weasels. Dude, it's a term that has lived in my borderline daily memory since I was 12 years old.
What about the shit weasels?
It sticks with you, man. Shit weasels.
And like, Morgan Freeman's great. Like, he's fantastic in the movie. And
yeah, he does his thing.
Yeah. And Tom Sizemore is like almost like a blank slate. There's like almost no character there.
Yeah, no, none. The only real character development you get is from Thomas Jane when he's reading his mind outside the fence, and Sizemore just wholeheartedly agrees to do to do everything with him without a second thought because his mind's been read. So this guy must know what the fuck he's doing.
Yeah, and he's like he betrays Morgan Freeman's character pretty easily, and that's one of the funniest things about the movie too. It's like, so he basically is just like, oh, okay, this guy kind of knows what's up, and I'm just gonna trust him completely and bust him out, and like do this really weird elaborate plan with with Thomas Jane's character, but I love the fact that like so he breaks him out of jail, and the fact that there's a computer tracker in the handgun that he gave him is like a
handgun that John Wayne gave him.
So it was like he never really trusts anybody. But there are moments where Morgan Freeman's just like saying, like, I'm so far gone, I don't even trust myself, and like he's telling this to like a higher up general dude.
Yeah.
He's like I shouldn't be trusted. It's like, okay, well, you're relieved of duty. Like.
Yeah, and it's funny too because in that scene it just seems like he's trying to push for whatever sympathy he can get from this general to just leave the fucking room so that he can keep doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, so a scene that I didn't remember at all is the first time that the blue, what are they called, the blue buccos or the blue fucking whatever their special military unit is called. It's like the first time that they go on the mission to take out the crashed mothership or whatever. And I don't remember that scene at all. Like all the aliens standing in front of the crashed ship and like it was a really bizarre scene. Epic. Yeah. Yeah.
And like that that's where all the production value went.
Yeah, clearly. But it's funny because like when Morgan Freeman's first real scene when he's in there with Sizemore and he's kind of, really more so giving the audience the rundown while he's talking to him about his history of 25 years of fighting these aliens and how they've clearly showed up multiple times at different parts of the world before and tried to take over everything, and it's just like it all comes at you so fast and you realize so quickly like, oh shit, this is just an alien invasion movie. And it's like in that moment you lose a little bit of love and care for what's going on, but you also don't get enough information to like, I don't know. But I still love it. I still fucking love Morgan Freeman's character. His lines are fucking hilarious.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite parts of the movie. Every time he had a scene, I was very happy because he was just saying these ridiculous lines of dialogue. And he's delivering them well, which is the best part of it. It's like, but yeah, no, I had a similar thing about that scene because I was like, oh, this kind of ruins like the, like locked down feeling of like being trapped in this quarantine area. The fact that they're just like mowing these guys down and like, I don't know, like to me, I got the feeling that I was like, this probably wasn't in Stephen King's book, like this big action scene. Like, it just didn't seem like it would be. Or if it was, like, it was mentioned vaguely. But, I mean, I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, we're on the toilet. We're on the toilet scene. There was... So Jason Lee's character, Beaver's got this, like, addiction to toothpicks, right? It's like how he deals with his anxiety.
Or it's like an oral fixation. Maybe he's, like, quitting smoking or something.
Yeah. I honestly, I don't even remember it getting explained. Do you?
No, I don't think so. But I've heard vaguely, like when people are trying to quit smoking, they try to like do something like that.
Got
just
it.
to
So
like,
maybe that's what it is.
the habitual part of like, putting something in your mouth, like, it's like, I don't know, like a way to cope, I guess. But I could be wrong, but that was the way I interpreted it.
Yeah. Yeah, and he fucking knows that if he... Well, that's another thing, too. You talked about your sort of suspension of belief with Jonesy not knowing that was happening or reacting in time or whatever. But also, can we talk about the fact that the shit weasel seems to know exactly when his ass leaves the toilet seat?
Yeah.
Like, how it has no... there's no way it could see or know. But every time he lifts his ass cheek, it hops up. But, that death scene's pretty fucking epic, you gotta say.
Yeah, I really didn't expect it to happen that early into the movie, because I thought he was going to be like a pivotal character, and then he just dies very unceremoniously midway through the movie.
Yeah, he and Timothy. I wanted more Timothy Oliphant. Like, I love these actors so much. I just didn't get enough of them.
Yeah, it's like, and that was the thing too. I was surprised by, because they built up like their I don't know, like clairvoyancy or whatever, and then they just die without really adding a whole lot to the plot, which I guess is what makes it interesting too. So I can't really knock it that much, because you expect them to be like a big part of the story, but they die very quickly.
Yes, they do. And you know what really pissed me off? I want to talk about Timothy Oliphant's death scene, because he plays Pete, right? And
that's one of the funniest lines of the movie is when that happens. Yeah.
Okay. So save that, because I want to hear it. So obviously they get in this car wreck because this chick's sitting in the middle of the road, and she's another infected. What does Morgan Freeman call it? Infected with the chick from Alien. Or what's her name in the fucking movie?
Ripley.
Ripley. They call it the Ripley. They call it the virus, right? So she's infected with it. I did too. And if that is in the book, what a cool little ode to it. What an ode to. Anyway, so they crash the truck. They end up, camped out, and he just starts drinking, and he starts talking about the past with Duddits, and I think it's around there that you get the flashback scene with Duddits of them saving him. And there's this line where, when they first confront the bullies, and Pete like backs up, and they're like, Pete's the fastest kid around or whatever, like he's gonna take off. You guys watch out. He's going to go tell your mom. I remember thinking, okay, that's got to come up later. Like, there's got to be a scene coming up at some point where he's still fast, and, like, that's super important. And just nothing. No, he just gets fucking munched.
Yeah, it's almost like a red herring. Like, they throw it out there.
And that's another thing that I wonder if in the book it gets fleshed out a little more. There's, like, some scene. I don't know. It felt, because it was a long movie and it didn't feel long enough.
Yeah.
At least the first like half of the movie didn't feel long enough.
Yeah, because I was like, I got to the hour mark. I was like, oh shit, am I like 30 minutes in? I was like, oh no, it's already an hour into it.
Yeah. But anyway, what was your line?
So when he's like pissing in the snow, and he's writing Dudley's names, like, oh, this is for you, Dudley. And then he sees the thing in the snow, like, popping up. He's like, Lord, I'll never drink again. And then it starts biting his dick. I was like, that was amazing.
So good. Right, there are moments in this movie that are fucking exquisite, where everyone's talent comes together in just the right way.
Yeah, and I'm sure there was something in the book about, like, because, like, getting bit on the dick, because they had a whole conversation about Viagra earlier in the movie.
Yeah.
Where, they're, like, talking, it's like, it'll get your dick hard for 12 hours or something. So I was wondering if there's, like, something about him being, like, I don't know, like a sex addict or something like, I mean, like, that is reading too much into, like, all that kind of stuff. But, like, some kind of relevance to, like, getting, like, his penis bitten off, it seems like a pretty specific thing to happen.
Yeah, who knows? The more we talk about this, the more I just want to fucking buy the book and read it.
Yeah.
Because I want to know if some of these things are just in our mind, or if we would have written a better book or movie.
Yeah,
with the characters that are there.
But Stephen King's like a good author. Like, he knows what he's doing. So there's elements of it that I'm like, oh, this is probably relating to something deeper. but it's not getting touched upon in the movie. And yeah, you don't know what things that they wrote in for convenience or what was actually in the book. So that's like the frustrating thing about the movie is like you don't know where like the good parts are getting left out of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like they hired the right people to make it, and it just didn't quite land the way it should have.
Yeah, and then they I feel like they just kind of wrote it like, oh, this is like a alien adventure horror action thing, so we'll kind of write it that way and act it that way. So it's like, yeah, there definitely feels like a ton of the movie that was probably left on the cutting room floor that they just didn't know what to do with or how to adapt that correctly.
Yeah, but anyway, we lose two incredible actors too early in this movie. They both get munched.
Yeah, and then there was that whole thing where he knew that Damian Lewis's character had turned, like he could tell immediately, and then he gets on the snowmobile with him, which I thought was insane. And
yeah, I mean it's almost by threat, right? Like, because doesn't Jonesy tells him like you have to go with him because remember there's a scene where the alien or Mr. Gray like basically almost kills Pete. It's like right after the initial fight, or right after the initial fight with the shit weasel, and Jonesy or Mr. Gray shows up on this snowmobile, and he's like strangling him or whatever, and he's about to kill him using the Ripley on his neck, and then Jonesy's like, you gotta follow him or whatever. It was like he was basically already dead. He was just prolonging the inevitable and maybe hoping for some kind of window to take Mr. Gray out, and so it doesn't happen. Yeah, he was able to trick him a little bit, I think. But yeah, that's another like unceremonious death where it's just like, oh, okay, he's dead now, I guess. Yeah, it sucks. Yeah. But I did love the scene where Thomas Jane's character comes back to the cabin and finds all the shit and has to fight off the little shit tadpoles and burn the house down. I loved it. Yeah, which is funny because like I feel like Thomas Jane was out of the movie for like at least half an hour. Like he didn't show up for a long time. And I don't know if I just zoned out, but do you remember? So he basically like lights the house on fire, right? And then does he get on skis and ski down to the military base? Yeah, I did write that down. I was like, is he cross-country skiing? And then he runs into the military, like, midway through? Yeah, it was just so bizarre. I was like, he knew it was there, and he knew he needed to go there, but it's never really... That's what makes Thomas Jane's character so hilarious in this movie, is it's like, he had all these things he had to do and say, because that's what the character did in the book, but he didn't have enough screen time to develop his character at all, and it seemed like he was playing 3 different characters throughout the movie, and you're just like, what is happening? Yeah, I feel like they condensed a lot of like the other characters into his character, but yeah, it almost feels like there's like a portion of the movie missing where he's like gone and like looking for firewood for like 4 hours or something. Yeah, it was weird. Which reminds me, speaking of like stuff that just feels like it's missing, I wanted to point out one of the things I saw in the trivia was that, the girl that during that flashback where they go rescue that girl, like Duddits, opens up the wormhole or whatever and shows them where to find the girl. So apparently in the book, they have this whole scene where they befriend her, which is why they care about finding her. But you don't get that in the movie, and so it's just like it just kind of. It doesn't really hit you in any meaningful way. No, I did wonder about that because like they made a big point of like calling back to that and like doing like a flashback about finding her in like the tunnel or something. Yeah, it was another big like element of character development about their friendship and their telepathy and their experience with Duddits, and there's just not enough time in the movie to... I feel like the problem is there's not enough time in a movie format to develop their characters and their relationships in a way that makes the ending of the movie as impactful as it's supposed to be. They had to rush things, and it just came off weird. Well, yeah, because I almost felt like that flashback came too late, because 2 of those characters were already dead by the time that flashback occurred. So I was like, okay, I mean, like it's interesting to know the backstory, but it's like 2 of these guys are already dead. So I mean, like, and then like it's about this girl that we know nothing about, and just about them building up their relationship with Duddits, like right before you meet him. So it almost felt like it was just
for that reason, to like remind you of who Duddits was at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, and hey, I honestly think that that Duddits' mom is the best character in the movie. You know?
Oh yeah, she's like, oh, he heard Henny and he just jumped out of bed. He's got like leukemia or something like that.
Yeah, some horrible. That's the other thing too. Like I don't necessarily know how important or relevant it is, but like especially considering that, you know, the evil alien species that's here clearly has the ability to like shapeshift and, you know, turn into dust powder and whatever. Like, you know, there's just suspension of belief things all over the place. But I would have liked more of an explanation as to how the alien that is Duddits, like what exactly is going on there? Like, was Duddits born and then the alien came to Earth and inhabited him, and the fact that the alien has been him this whole time is like the reason that he developed all of these like disorders in the cancer and everything? Or has he always been an alien? Is the mom an alien too? Like there's just stuff that needs to be explained.
Yeah, or was like the monster in him the cancer all along, like kind of thing. Was the yeah. There's just things I want that I'm never gonna get that might be in the book. I don't know. Yeah, well, yeah, I'm with you because it like they make that like a focal point about his character, but like it ends up getting revealed like at the last second at the end of the movie, and it's like it would have been better for the lore of it, I guess, like to know that beforehand. But like if you're watching it as like an action horror movie, like it's more satisfying if that's like revealed at the climax, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, it's the movie's a mess. Movie's a fucking mess, dude.
It's a mess, and I fucking love every second of it.
Yeah, it's
I can't help it, but it's nostalgia for me, so I understand watching it for the first time. It's just a mess. It's a mess with good bones that just never became what it could have been.
No, they're definitely strong bones in it, and it just it just feels, the way it's written at least, and the way the stuff that they leave out, it feels like a skeleton as opposed to a fully formed human being.
Yep, I can agree with that 100%. I will say, though, the last piece of trivia is kind of interesting because I think that... so Mr. Gray's death scene in the movie is pretty epic. Obviously, he fucking... he turns into his full massive tadpole form, and Duddits comes to the rescue wearing all of his Boston Red Sox gear. And, you know, and it's stuff that looks a little funny, but I imagine that Stephen King did an incredible job of writing about Duddits' character and the things he cares about, and it's all the northeastern, you know, just Stephen King Maine stuff, whatever. But like and okay, what are your thoughts on Donnie Wahlberg's performance as Duddits?
I really loved it, honestly. Like I thought he did a great job.
He was believable.
Yeah, it was to the point where I didn't even recognize that it was Donnie Wahlberg for the first couple of minutes that I saw him.
Because that's not an easy role to play. You know, you get that gig, and he only got, how many minutes of screen time? I don't even know. It wasn't a lot.
Probably less than 10, I'd imagine.
And he gets this character. That's not an easy character to play.
You know, the thing that he was famous for was the first scene in The Sixth Sense, where he was like the... do you remember that scene?
Oh, no. I don't remember him being in it. I haven't seen The Sixth Sense in so long.
So, like, at the very beginning of the movie, like, he's, like, one of Bruce Willis's, like, disturbed patients, and he breaks into his house, and he's, like, in his underwear, and he's, like, you said that you could save me, and, like, he ends up shooting Bruce Willis in, like, the first couple minutes. And, like...
Holy shit.
It's like, a perfect performance. Like, he really nails it. Like, that, you know, unhinged kind of... mentally disturbed, like I don't know, he understands that, how to play that really well. So I was really I don't know, I really liked his performance in this a lot, just because I think he's a good actor. So I like Donnie Wahlberg.
Agreed. Yeah, but anyway, so Duddits shows up, saves the day, he gets stabbed in the chest. You think he's done. You think Duddits is Dunskies, and then he morphs into the alien that he is, which I'm assuming. And I again, maybe the book goes into more detail about this, but kind of my assumption is that he's this other alien race that maybe this species of what the fuck are they called? What was Morgan Freeman called them?
Shit
just
weasels. Shit weasels.
No, shit weasels. But you just said it. What does he call them? It's the chick's name from Alien. God damn it.
Oh, Ripley. Oh, Ripley's. Yeah.
Ripley. Thank you. Yeah, the Ripleys or whatever. This alien species, like clearly, and I think Morgan Freeman's character alludes to this earlier in the movie, but they're doing this to other planets too. Like this is their thing. They show up to other planets. They try to take over the planet, whatever. So my assumption is that this alien maybe came from a planet that they had taken over, and like he escaped to Earth and had just been hiding out here because he knew they were going to come eventually, and this was his plan from the beginning to take them down. And that's cool, but that's also super interesting and way more interesting than a lot of the bullshit that happens. And I want like more of that. But anyway, he morphs into this fucking alien, and then I don't understand what even happened. Like he creates this weird like flesh field around the two of them.
I think it's to absorb like the spores that like are supposed to burst out of him when he to protect the other guys, right?
I guess so, yeah, because it seems like he wraps him up into this fleshy shield, and then they just implode into a powder, and you're like, what the fuck was that? And,
but like the spores still like kind of come out, which was kind of weird because like I thought they kind of like detracted from what the thing was supposed to do.
Yeah, agreed. I don't really get that, but so this is the reason I even brought this death scene up is apparently, and this is the one credit that I'll give to the movie, because I can't imagine how this would be more interesting. But apparently it's different. This death scene's different in the book. Both Henry and Duddits, using their powers, smother the alien to death with a pillow. I can't imagine how that would be cooler than what happened in the movie. I don't even understand what because in the movie they're in the they're in the water supply room where the alien's whole plan is to spread the tadpole through the Boston water supply. I don't know where Henry and Duddits and this alien would have to be in the context of the book for them to kill him with a pillow. Either way, regardless of the circumstances, that seems way more lame than what they did in the movie, and so I will accept the death scene.
Yeah, I think it was
being a good adaptation.
Yeah, I think that was like the most like thematically satisfying for the story that was being told. But I mean, maybe it's different in the book. Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, maybe in the book the aliens are all scared of pillows, and it's like this really epic moment. There's no way to know.
Feathers, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, but I have to point this out too, because I don't understand. This is now the second weird sci-fi movie from the 90s or early 2000s that I've shown you where a German Shepherd dies. I don't understand what the theme is here that's going on.
Yeah,
too many dogs dying.
And
in movies.
The second Tom Sizemore movie.
Tom Sizemore, German Shepherd. There's some weird pattern going on here. I don't want to overanalyze it, but it's alarming.
Yeah. I do want to talk about Tom Sizemore's death sequence, which is one of those wild parts of the movies.
Oh my god, dude. It was so dumb. It was so fucking dumb. Please, go ahead.
I was annoyed because like they built these guys up as like a big part of the movie, but it was really just their own story inside of this other story kind of thing. Like, they're running like the quarantine, like military aspect of it, but it was almost like two different movies going on at the same time. And then, Tom Sizemore breaks Thomas Jane's character out of, his little prison cell. And, and then like Morgan Freeman like hijacks a buzzard and like goes to find him because he knows because he's got like the chip in the gun. It sounds so stupid when I'm describing it. Like the whole plot. And like he finds him and is like shooting at him with like a minigun, like mounted on the front of the buzzard, and he nicks him. And then he Tom Sizemore shoots down the helicopter with his M1911 that he gives him, and he just shoots 3 perfect holes, and he shoots out the rudder, which I thought was the funniest part.
And all I could think about was that is he's finally getting his own Tom Hanks moment.
Yeah,
right.
It was very much like him shooting the tank and being like, "What the fuck?"
And in that movie, isn't it Tom Sizemore's pistol that Tom Hanks takes out of his dead body to start shooting? I don't think so.
I think that's his own sidearm. But he's like, Tom Sizemore's on the bridge in Saving Private Ryan, and he's looking at the I don't know, like the little like I don't know, plunger for like the bridge to like blow it up. But I don't think he takes his sidearm. Not to get technical with you there.
Well, anyway, either way, he gets his own Tom Hanks moment.
Yeah, and then Donnie Wahlberg takes his MP5 and then like starts shooting wildly. I do love the fact that he's like starts shooting the machine gun and he just starts firing wildly.
Oh no,
that's
that's Thomas Jane. That's Henry.
Oh, Thomas Jane. I'm sorry, Thomas Jane. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, and that was fucking hilarious. His ability not to not control the recoil, and I thought for sure
he's like moving his feet and shit.
Yeah. There's this moment where I thought, okay, well, he shot all over the room, like all over the fucking room, and after the shit weasel grabs onto the butt of his gun and he fires and kills it. There's this moment where the camera like looks down to Jonesy, and Jonesy's like looking like he's in pain. I was like, oh my god, he just shot him. Like, how fucking hilarious would that be if that's how Jonesy dies? Is because Thomas Jane walks in and it just can't shoot the MP5. He's just like, he just fucking kills his friend.
It's it's like a missed ending where he's just screaming with a gun again. He's like, no.
Yeah.
But we got to talk about the last shot of that movie because this is like, I was floored by it. I don't even know why, but so the monster is defeated, and then he's like looking at Jones and is like, it's like, are you real? And then he like crushes a little bug before it goes into the water supply, and then he just smiles, and then it cuts to credits so fast. And I was just like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, it just knocks you right out of there.
Yeah, and it like, which I'm fine with. I wasn't expecting it. It was like because he smiles and then it like cuts to black. I was like, that's a very hard. There's like no, New Balance. Like, this is what things were like 4 months later. This is how everybody's doing.
Yeah, it's pretty awful. It's a pretty awful way to end what was an absolute masterpiece,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't mind it. I was just surprised by it because I was like, that's a very like definitive like fuck yeah kind of ending. It's just bizarre way to end the movie. But I mean, I enjoyed it for the most part, I think.
Yeah, I'm glad. It felt like a movie that we had to watch. We had to watch post Band of Brothers purely as a result of the cast, and I appreciate you doing it with me. It'll always go down as one of those weird movies from my childhood that I'm always gonna love to watch again.
Yeah, I do want to watch it again, just with you and I in the same room. Just talking shit about it.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah, I do think Jason Lee was probably the best actor in the movie. Not gonna lie, he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, he was, and that's probably my one takeaway is that both he and Timothy Olyphant just died way too soon. Yeah, I would have liked a reconciliation, but maybe that just wouldn't have been as interesting for a modern viewing audience. Yeah, but anyway.
Yeah.
Well, any final thoughts? I love you. Thanks for watching this movie with me.
Yeah, no, I don't think I have any final thoughts. You ready to give our our review or rating?
Yeah, let's do it. I'll go first since it's my movie. I'm gonna say you probably need a good 4 beers, maybe 3 to enjoy this movie, because you need the beers to start to hit you about halfway through.
Yeah.
To get you through the back half of the movie. So that's right. I'll say 4.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was gonna land. I think it was 4 for me. Because it's definitely insane enough that like I think you could watch this in like let's just throw something on kind of way and really enjoy it. Like if you don't know what you're gonna see, like it's even better.
Yeah. Because I mean, you have to admit it's fucking entertaining.
Oh, it's entertaining. Absolutely, it's entertaining. Like it's fucking bananas.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I feel sad. I feel sad that it's over.
We can do a retrospective. And
yeah, we need to watch it again. We need to watch it 3 more times and really dig deep.
Yeah, we'll give it a couple of years. We'll go back and rewatch it. Do a legacy episode where it's like, how do we feel about this in 2 years? What was this like?
Yeah, that's the move.
Yeah, that's the move.
Well, this has been yet another episode of One Guy's Seen It. Thanks for being here. And I guess next week, Sumster is gonna have something magical.
Oh, I do have something magical. I'm so excited for it. Or
right.
Are we gonna do it on Thursday?
Well, yes, but the internet can't know that.
Well, I mean, like they don't know our schedule. They don't know what's going on.
Fine. Yes. We're doing it on Thursday. That's what we're doing. Everyone, you hear that shit?
Jeff said it. Now we're gonna do it.
I did say it. So we'll see you on Thursday, even though the episode probably won't come out for a while.
Yeah. You gotta wait,
all right.
You fuckers.
And remember,
every movie's better with at least 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 beers.
That's how you deliver it, baby. All right, peace. One guy's seen it, the other guy hasn't. First guy's gonna tell the second guy all about it while they both get drunk.